Recently, I've been trying to get in better shape by hitting the gym and making better food decisions and all those things that make a person generally healthier, but the most important thing is staying hydrated. Hydration is one of, if not the most important things to living a healthier and better life, and Liquid IV is your best ticket to achieving that goal. Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks, which is pretty significant. I really enjoy Liquid IV because it's easy to take. It's easy to take with you, which makes it super convenient, whether it's after the gym or if I need to pick me up in the morning after a night out or just a boost of hydration while I'm at work. Staying hydrated is so much easier for me because of Liquid IV, and I think it can do the exact same thing for you. Also, if you're worried about the flavors, don't be. They've got strawberry lemonade and lemon lime, which are some of my favorites, and they are very good, but they got plenty of other flavors, so you'll find something you like for sure. So, if you want to start getting and staying more hydrated, you should try some Liquid IV. Get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code BADMOVIE at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code BADMOVIE at liquidiv.com.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you some breaking news. There's been reports all over the area of something crazy going on, something big. People's homes, their minds even, are being taken over by something called, what is it they're calling it? They're calling it Bad Movie Debate.
All right. That one's going to have to work. We're just going to roll with it. Welcome to Bad Movie Debate. It's me, Jacob Babb, and we got Tyler Eads once again for a spooky episode. So we're doing something special this time. We got every time I do some special episode, for like a new kind of a vibe, it's always with Tyler, and it's always a horror-based thing. So Tyler is here for, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, like a head-to-head, or like the people versus, I don't know, something debate-related for this series. But basically, we're going to talk about 2 shitty movies that are basically the same plot, and we're going to decide which one of these shitty movies is the better shitty movie, right?
Yes.
Because they're both pretty shit, right?
They're both tough. They
texted me the other day. You're texting me the other day being like, man, both of these movies really fucking blow. And I'm like, yeah, man. they're both a bit of a trip. So as I said, horror is the name of the game this time of the year and when Tyler's on. So here we are. We're doing As Above, So Below versus The Pyramid. Ooh, they're basically the exact same. Here's how similar they are. I have the IMDb log lines ready to go. So for The Pyramid, it is an archaeological team attempts to unlock the secrets of a lost pyramid only to find themselves hunted by an insidious creature. Ooh, sounds great, right? That sounds interesting, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got As Above, So Below, which is when a team of explorers venture into the catacombs that lie beneath the streets of Paris, they uncover the dark secret that lies within the city of the dead. Ooh, so scary. So they both actually have I genuinely, those both sound pretty good. Like that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
They're good log lines. Realized last night when I was getting my stuff ready for this, both of these movies came out in 2014.
Yeah, I thought that was intentional on your part from the get-go.
I did not know until I was just like, man, those movies are so similar. They're basically the same. That'll be perfect to do for this kind of an episode. And then when I was getting my shit ready, I was like, oh my god, they both came out in 2014. So they probably came out. Honestly, they probably came out like months apart. And
yeah, probably.
They're the exact same fucking movie at the end of the day, which is hilarious. So Tyler is going to defend The Pyramid, right? Is that what we landed on? All right, and I'm going to defend As Above, So Below. I think we're both going to be in for a trip trying to do this. All right, so before we just start screaming at each other as we do, so As Above, So Below, 2014. That has a Rotten Tomatoes critic score of 28% and an audience score of 40%. So the audience is a little more generous.
Yeah.
Have you seen what the Pyramids reviews are?
So I've only seen the IMDb and Metacritic, but it's significantly lower than As Above, So Below, which it's hard to be lower than that, but it is. Yeah.
The Rotten Tomatoes one is pretty good. We'll get to that in a second. But first, I've got one bad review for each movie. So this bad review for As Above, So Below comes from the New York Times. A writer named Jeanette Catsoulis. It's literally Catsoulis.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
I think Catsoulis. I think you have to say it separately.
Maybe. I don't know. So this is her quote for the movie. It's a quote, "The movie's signature signage, 'Abandon all hope, ye who enter here,' is the only instruction we really need," end quote.
God damn, she did not have to flame them like that.
She went so hard, wrapped in the whole fucking main theme, and just fucking threw it back.
She didn't have to, man.
I think she had to, but I think the bad review for The Pyramid is so much funnier. Honestly, so The Pyramid, again, 2014, Rotten Tomatoes critic score, 13%.
Jesus Christ, that's tough, dude.
It's pretty tough. And then the audience score, 21%.
Yeah.
They liked it more, but it's still.
Yeah.
It's still pretty bad overall. Also, I noticed, because this one's on HBO right now, and I noticed that when I went to look at it, like you go over to movies, and they started doing the like top 10 movies right now thing, like kind of how like Netflix does. This was number 4 last night.
That is very interesting. I mean, I could see, and I'll obviously use this as part of my praise for the movie. I could see it having like a resurgence, not like on like a large scale, but just because of how it feels like some of those like B movie, like Netflix horror films, like a Sharknado or something like that. It's a little more serious than Sharknado, a little less, obviously funny, but like, I don't know, I could see people throwing this one on and being like, oh, this is a fun watch,
Yeah, I think a part of it is I think it just recently got onto HBO, like within the past month, and is the season. So yeah, and the poster is pretty wicked.
The poster's sick as hell, and it's also hard to believe that 2014 was like 10 years ago, dude.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
That's mind-boggling. It doesn't seem like it should be, but
that's the scariest part of both movies.
that's what really got me.
That old, honestly. All right, and then the bad review for The Pyramid, real quick. Oh god, I love it so much. This comes from The Hollywood Reporter, and it's from Leslie Philbaran, something to that nature. Okay, here it is. Quote: "A stinker in every sense," end quote.
Damn, just did not even.
All the other ones were trying to be like the As Above, So Below one, where they like tried to like, be real punny with it, or like try to like incorporate something about Egypt or pyramids in it and stuff. And this person was just like a stinker all the way through. Damn. This one sucks. Like didn't even take the time to like have a clever little comment. Like just a stinker in every sense. That's it. Wow. That's all you need to know.
That is. I mean, and I could see like, I mean, if this is your job and your day, you've seen like 5 movies already today, and then this is what you cap the night off with, I could see you losing patience for sure.
Yeah, if you ended the night, like your day, with this, good lord.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
It's so wild. So I haven't really thought exactly how this is gonna go, so we're just gonna kind of wing it like we always do.
Let's do it.
Why don't you give me some thoughts on As Above, So Below, and I'll see what I can do and then we'll
Okay.
swap, and then we'll kind of just discuss from there. Let's try it like that. See how it goes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll start it off by saying when I was trying to decide which one I would want to defend,
Mm-hmm.
my favorite quote from As Above, So Below came to my mind, and it is by the best character in that film, Benji, where he says,
Benji's
"Fuck
great.
that, I'm not crawling into no bones." And you know, I felt like trying to defend As Above, So Below is akin to crawling through the bones in the catacombs, and this is why. It is way too self-serious for its own good. It is a lot of fun in pieces, but the way that the tone is set, it makes me think that the director thought he made the Blair Witch Project with some literary references tossed in.
Mhm.
And I can't get past that. Like, man, the director really thought he had something here. I don't know. I feel like if it had, so like the pyramid has a much more, like, it knows it sucks. Like I think the pyramid knows it sucks. I don't think As Above, So Below feels that same way about itself. I think it thinks that it had something going for it, that it made, like, you know, the new Paranormal Activity of the generation or the new Blair Witch Project, and it's not even close in quality. And I
So-
think that really drags it down for me.
So you think that As Above, So Below was really trying to do something with this one?
I do.
And
I
the
really
pyramid was
think they
like-
did.
The pyramid was like, fuck it, let's just, do this. And like it'll be
Absolutely.
fine. And so that's why As
Absolutely.
Above, So Below sucks, and the other one and the pyramid is better. That's
Absolutely.
like part of your main thesis.
I think that is the central aspect, because I think that I think that I think that any other argument would be false, because I could pick apart, like, you know, scene by scene, As Above, So Below. I could pick it apart for sure. But every argument I'm making against it, you could probably shine that same argument against the pyramid, because, as you said, they are basically the same movie. So I really think that the campy, I mean, like at times, like, I mean, almost like back to like the 70s, 80s, like splash, splatter genre, like campiness of the pyramid, and how silly that movie really is, and how it does not take itself seriously. I think that makes it a better flick.
Okay. No. I don't see how. Okay, so I guess I get what you're saying in terms of, like, so at the end of the day, both of these movies are found footage movies of researchers of some sort going underground and experiencing the hell of whatever mythology they are, like, in,
Yeah.
And one is based off of Egyptian mythology, obviously the pyramid, and then As Above, So Below is a combination of Christianity and like the Philosopher's Stone and like Nicholas Flamel and all that like magic kind of shit, like Western magic
Right.
shit. I feel like with As Above, So Below, because at the end of the day, it's what it really is Dante. It's Dante's
Right.
Inferno. You get abandon all hope and all that jazz, and the way that the characters die is directly from As Above, So Below, or the Dante's Inferno. Like, there's one, like the guy who Papillon, Papillon, the guy,
Papillon,
like their
great character, honestly.
he was great.
I really liked him. Yeah.
I did really like his character. He was cool. Benji's the best though. R.I.P. Benji.
Oh, dude.
He was the best. But let's see. Let me find it. He is the one. He dies. With like the car's on fire, and apparently he abandoned his buddy, and then like his feet are up. Like it's like he gets pulled into it, and it's just his feet up. So in Dante, that is a specific reference to those are the people who they use their position for their own wealth. Like that's why their feet are sticking up. Like that's what the punishment was in Dante. And the entire time, Papillon is only there for the treasure, and he is in the position to use his power as the one who knows the catacombs to get it. So like that actually works and makes sense, and his character was one of the few that was like actually written like decently interestingly, and like was a little more.
Oh shit, dude! I actually did not put that together at all.
It felt a little more fleshed out in that regard, and then for that one, and then there was another one. I can't remember where it is. Like so many fucking random notes in here that aren't even important, honestly. Blah 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 blah. Who else dies? Benji was innocent. He didn't deserve anything to happen to him. He just straight up died. Like
so, a very quick counterpoint. While his death, honestly, I think is the best death in the entire movie because
it's really
comes
fucked
at
up.
You out of fucking nowhere.
It's scary.
I think he is by far the most likable, but most easy to empathize with character, and they just kill him like fucking that. It was incredible. But while that is a positive, there were I think that this movie, again, taking itself a little too seriously, cast that wide net in a way that it wants to bring in all of these weird influences and have all these really cerebral, heady, like strange scenes. Did they ever explain Benji's attachment to that girl who ended up being like the cause of his death? Because it's her that jumps out at him, right? That makes him jump back and then fall through the hole. Did they ever explain that?
It's the girl that they see her at the club.
Yeah, like leaving the nightclub, and then
she's there like at the beginning with the weird chanting. She's like in charge of it, and then she just keeps kind of popping up. No, that's part of the problem with this is there's only one or two. So it's weird because it's like, so George, the guy who she like forces to be there, like he feels guilty over his brother's death, like it's his fault and stuff, but he doesn't die. And then the other dude, who's like a part of Papillon's crew, he has a kid that he knows is his, but he denies that it's his, but he also doesn't die. And then the girl that's with them and Benji, they both die, and it's just out of nowhere. We don't know anything about them, and they're the only other two that die. So 3 people die. Papillon has a direct relation to a thing, and the other 2 just die.
Yeah,
it's like that's part of the problem with it is that they go for the Dante thing, but then they don't fully do it because then like the 3 of them are walking around, and like the little gargoyle guys are there, like that's in Dante and stuff, like the weird shit, and then like that's a direct reference and stuff. Like when they are crawling in, they say, what does she say? She quotes it and says, they see the abandoned all hope ye who enter, and then like she starts to crawl and she says, and they shall be made to crawl on their knees to enter the kingdom of darkness. And George says, yeah, that occurred to me too. That's like, it's abandon all hope ye, like that's like exactly how it goes. And they're like, oh fuck, this is like legit ass Inferno. Like,
we're in hell actively.
And we are actually going into hell, or maybe they're just trying to scare us, like scare us off from finding the stone and stuff. And like, but other than that, there's not really that's it. Like they
And-
set it up and then they don't complete the thought with the 2 other kills that we actually get.
Right. And I would be fine with them. Like, I don't need tons of like exposition dump, which they do a lot in this movie, and that really pisses me off. I hate that shit. Like the scenes where Scarlett and George like break off in like an aside, and then they start talking about like their weekend in Turkey or whatever. We don't need that. Like, sprinkle it in. You don't have to dump it every little opportunity you get. But I didn't need like a big explanation for Benji's association with that girl, but I needed something. I mean, you can't just. I'm cool with weird, and I'm cool with not understanding everything. I don't need everything over explained, but it can't just. You can't claim a deep concept or a deeper meaning, yet only explain part of it. And that to me, it undercuts what is really a cool concept in a modern retelling of Dante's Inferno in like a found footage. I mean, I think it could have, had it been done well, I think it could have been really sick. It just wasn't done as well as it should have been.
Yeah, that's part of the problem with it, I will say, is I'm not trying to. I don't think either of us are trying to say that either of these movies are good. We're just deciding which is better technically over the other. So, I completely agree with that. That's part of the reason why this movie is bad, is because they start the thought, but then they never finish it, and then it's just like, oh, here's these weird gargoyle guys like kind of running around and stuff. But then something that I thought was hilarious was like she figures out, like at some point Scarlett figures out that like it's not actually the stone, it's what's inside of you, like kind of thing.
God, come on.
I know. It
turns out the stone was in our hearts all along. That's so shitty, dude.
Yep. And the best part about that whole thing is not only do they hit you with that, but then once she figures that out and that she needs to put the stone back, she fucking speed runs back to the room.
Yeah,
with
something that
no
took them
problem.
like 90 minutes the first time. Like,
yeah, it took them so long. Literally, the whole movie is them getting there, and like they get to the room where the stone is, like, I don't know, like a third of the way through, and then it's
something
all
like
kind of
that,
like give or take, and she just speed runs back. But the funniest part about that, as she's speed running back, she runs by one of the gargoyle guys. He like runs up to her and she just punches him in the face.
Dude, yes. Oh, it's so
ridiculous,
man.
It's so fucking funny.
Straight up
decks this motherfucker.
Decks the dude. Oh my god. And he looks genuinely surprised.
He's like, what the fuck? Like, he's like, how dare you? I'm a demon in hell. Like, and you're just gonna fucking pop me one and just keep going? Like, but then she does get to, there is some stuff, like it slows down a little bit, 'cause she gets to the pool where George thought he saw his brother or whatever, that weird tunnel where all the like the audio thing went weird, and like everything, like they were like transitioning further into like this weird ethereal hellscape and stuff. And but what's funny is or what's interesting, when she's running back, she like there's like all those hands and stuff, and it's like blood, and like they pull her in and stuff, and like everything, and like that's kind of cool. And now she's covered in blood, and it's like cool classic horror, like, oh, somebody's covered in blood. Don't mind that. But then she runs into her dead dad, who's just hanging there. What? But he's got a hood on his head. And she's like, oh, I gotta look at it, because that's part. Oh, well, see, because that's her sin. That's part of her sin, is like, is like that and stuff. But then she takes it off, and it's her own face screaming at her. Like, what?
Yeah,
like, what is that?
And that's, I think, so. This is my main point. Would you rather?
I love this game.
All right.
I love this game. Let's do it.
I'm just gonna paint the picture.
All right, paint it.
You're starving, right? You're hungry. You've been at work all day. You need a good meal.
Mhm.
Do you want the $25 shrimp linguine that's, it looked like in the picture on the menu, it looks like it's going to be incredible. It's expensive. So, like, oh man, maybe this is going to be really good. Like it's setting up this facade of depth.
Mhm.
Would you rather that and be disappointed when you get into it and it's not as rich and as detailed as you thought it was going to be? Or would you rather just the shitty, like, food truck burger or fast food burger that what you're getting into, it's bad, but man, it gets you where you need to go? I think that's the difference between these two movies. I think one is bad because it's just bad and it knows it's bad. The other, it thinks it's something more, and if it had just gone one direction or the other completely, I think it would have been so much better.
So I understand your little metaphor there. There's two things wrong with that. One,
Okay.
I don't like shrimp linguine. I would never order
Fair
that,
enough. Yeah,
especially if it's $25. Like it's a very specific dish that I know Austin would order it, but I would not.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
But a food truck burger, come on, like that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna not only spend less money, I'm gonna be so much happier. And so I get your point. So I'm technically agreeing with you. Like, yeah, like that's what I would want for sure.
Yeah.
But that's different. It's completely different, I will say. But I understand what you're getting at.
I really think they could have cut out some of the shit, cut out some of the fat on.
Yeah, trim the fat.
And it's weird. They gave us a ton of detail and exposition in situations where they didn't. Like, they could have transplanted that elsewhere. They could have given us a little more information about Benji or about this girl. Maybe she reminds him of, someone he wronged in the past. And that's like literally just a 20-second explanation is enough for me. I just need something. But then I don't need George telling Scarlett at the last moments that the week in Turkey was the best week of his life. Like that shit is so cheesy,
but love,
so cringy, and it undermines it. And
but what about love? They love each other. Obviously,
what's love got to do with it is my question, and that is
a fair question considering this movie. Well, couple more things, then we'll talk about the pyramid real quick. Because I do want to talk about the pyramid, but I also want to go back and talk about both of these movies from like a technical filmmaking aspect.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's one of my biggest issues with the pyramid, which we will get into.
That's really interesting that you say that, because that's one of my biggest issues with As Above, So Below.
All right, well, hold that. We'll wrap up the like deeper analysis, then we'll just go to like surface level, like is this even made well, kind of thing. So another Dante thing that they did cool that I liked was the mole guy. Like the guy like the mole. I thought he was Latope, the mole. He was scary as fuck. And I loved seeing him every single time he came up, and he had those like deep black eyes, and they were just like, he seems different. I thought it was fucking hilarious, and like not necessarily a good way, but I loved it. But I also he is the Dante thing is he is their oh my god, he is their guide. It's Virgil. He's their Virgil, but he's also a demon at the same time, because Virgil and Dante are just kind of cruising, chilling, and they're like vibing and like they're friends, and Dante's like the Divine Comedy, like they're totally cool, but like he fucking straight up attacks that one girl in that one moment.
Brutal scene.
I love that
scene.
I love that they get over there. One other little thing that I did like, to like show like, hey, this guy is like not a vibe and stuff. You know, when they have to swim under the thing to get to the room.
Yeah.
So they all swim under and stuff, and they like get up, and they're all wet, obviously. But then like there's a quick little passing shot of the mole, and he's in the room, but he's completely dry. He's the only one who's completely dry. But in the midst of them like swimming and getting up and stuff, nobody fucking notices. But there's quick, like sweeping camera, because some of them have like cameras on their head and stuff, so there's like around, and they just don't even notice. But like it's like you see it just long enough, like he is completely dry, everybody else is soaking wet. That's
sick.
A nice little storytelling thing, like foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's not like this dude fucked up.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just deeper meaning wise. I love Dante's Inferno. I had a horror class in college, and the professor was like, it's the first horror story ever written, like, because that was the scariest shit people could ever think of at the time. Like, it was designed to scare you and stuff, like. And like, I mean, you're right though. It is like, it looks a lot better on the menu in terms of like the depth charter of it. You feel like, it's a combination of like Tomb Raider and like Blair Witch is what they're going for. And I'm definitely not the first person to say that. That was all over all of the reviews. People were like, people were saying shit that all over the place. And I was like, that's exactly what I thought. Like, well, like, that's what they're going for, and they didn't do it.
And honestly, like some of I actually think the best scene in the movie is the scene where Benji gets stuck, and it's just that, like, he sets the camera down in front of himself, and it's just that close up of him panicking. Like, it's just such a fucking bummer that they do so many things in such a wonderful way, in such an interesting way, and then they undermine it with some of the things. But I like the Tomb Raider stuff, or like the comparisons to like the Descent, things that have been done better in the past. But like I don't dislike the setting at the same time. Like, I don't necessarily think it's unoriginal. I just think it's something that they could have done so much more with.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that, because it's like, it just like, I think they do a fine job. Obviously, they have like the exposition dumps a little too much, going into it at the beginning, but it is interesting because it does have that Tomb Raider Indiana Jones vibe at the beginning to get you hooked and stuff. Because it's like,
it does.
Oh, they're looking for like a magical, like they're straight up doing Indiana Jones. They're looking for a mythological item, and like they're piecing stuff together, and like, they take the thing off at the museum and they do all the like National Treasure shit on it, and it's like, okay,
so that's
like,
what
okay,
I was gonna say.
like
You're giving it too much credit comparing it to Indiana Jones. It's National Treasure, dude. It's not even National Treasure 1. It's National Treasure 2.
It's National Treasure 2. Yes, it's like National Treasure 1 is great. National Treasure 2 is good just because the first one is good, and so I love the second one too. But but like, it has that vibe, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, but this is horror. Like, we'll get into it, and then by the time you get into it, it's definitely a little bit of a letdown. Because like when I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, it's Dante's Inferno. This is amazing. And like, I was like, that was pretty scary. Like, it was okay. And then I watched it again. Like, nope. I was like, now that I know what's coming, it's not really working.
No, agreed. So the first time I actually saw this movie, I still thought it was bad, just because of I still recognized it as not a well done front to back movie. However, the atmosphere is undeniable, especially when you don't know where it's going, and the climax is very stressful. I don't think, like, it is a bad movie, but I don't think it's a bad watch, especially on the first time. I think it's fun, especially with other people.
It's definitely a good first watch. It was me and Nick and I think it was just me and Nick and Katie, when he was dating Katie at the time, maybe Kyle was there, I don't know, but like, we watched it in college, and we were all freaking out. We were all like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, oh my god. Yeah. Like, I went to like rewatch it because I was like, damn, I really like that, and it just did not hit the same way
hit the second time.
So yeah, it's definitely a one and done kind of a watch. but I
Yeah.
think it's worth that one and done watch. You know
I
what I
do
mean?
too. This is not something that I like. I don't think I would ever tell anybody that it's a waste of time. Like
Yeah.
if they have any now, if it's somebody who's like not really into horror or
Mhm.
not really or is like too pretentious with certain things, I mean, they're not gonna like it, and
No,
it's not
God,
worth their time. But like if you like horror in any capacity, and if you enjoy movies and are willing to look past some things, it's absolutely worth the watch.
absolutely. Now the pyramid though, is that
So I'm
worth a
gonna
watch at any
uh,
point?
so I am going to competently defend this
Oh,
by starting out and saying I don't think that it's any worse than like any other B movie horror that I've ever seen. And I'm including like even some like iconic like I've honestly never been a big Friday the 13th guy. Like it's
mhm.
just I don't know. Like I I felt I had very similar feelings in this movie that I did like some of the Friday the 13th movies, like some of the lesser ones, because it's just I know what I'm getting myself into. It's a creature feature. It's campy, like it's not to be taken seriously, and I don't think it takes itself seriously. And so I think going in, you know that you're going to get some like a lot of like very very mid scenes, but with those like bursts in energy, like with any of the creature kills. Any of the creature kills, I was like, this is fantastic. I'm having a great time. In between though, no, I was not. It drags. It drags bad in between.
See, for me, I felt I had like the exact opposite kind of reaction because it was like,
Okay.
well, not the exact opposite. The in between was also what it was, but the kills, I felt like the kills were too campy and over the top at times,
Oh man.
and I
I
was
loved
like,
it.
and it was like, see, it gave me like it's trying to take itself very seriously. Like that's how I felt. I was like, it's
Oh
trying to
wow,
be
that's really
serious,
interesting.
and then it would do this super campy stuff, and I'm like, pick a lane. Like that's how I felt watching it.
Mm,
It was like you
interesting.
can't do both. Stick with one. I felt like
Right.
the actors were really trying and just not hit
Really?
because the dialogue was
Oh
terrible
man.
90% of the time.
Oh, it was so bad. But that I really thought, especially the
The dad,
obviously
Professor Dad,
the professor Professor Dad,
because he's a
Professor
professor and
Daddy,
he's a
if you
dad.
will, and he's a dad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Professor
exactly.
Daddy. Yeah.
Professor Daddy, he was hamming it up, man. He was having the time of his life, just being so silly, and I just I had a hard time believing these guys took it seriously. I thought that like the likes of George and the likes of Scarlett and Pap in As Above So Below, they're theater kids, and they were trying really hard
It's
to
definitely
mix.
theater kids.
Yeah, definitely theater kids. These people just felt like soap opera actors to me that were doing a silly movie. I did not I did not feel like it took itself seriously.
So, Professor Daddy is in American Horror Story, right?
Oh, I did not know that, but that checks
He
out
is
for
in
sure.
the first season. He's the guy who's like all burnt up, who lives in the house before and tries to tell the dad of the new family who moves in. He like burned the whole house down and killed his family, but then tried to save him because the house made him, or blah blah blah. He's that guy, and then he's in a few other
Okay.
seasons as other stuff. He like I got like because you're saying he was hamming it up, and for me it's like, well, I remember him from American Horror Story before I had seen this because this came out after like he had been in American Horror Story a few times, and I was
Yeah.
like, he is putting the same level, like he is acting just as much, whether it's good or bad, in American Horror, like in this movie, as he was in American Horror Story. Like I didn't get the hamming it up from him because it just seems like that's how it always is when he's acting.
Damn.
I was like, this is the same this is the same level of energy and like what he's going for. I think the daughter was definitely hamming it up.
Oh yeah.
Like she was going off. And then I'm super bad when I watch these movies just one time and they're like not good at remembering people's names. The reporter, Sunny, I remember her name. I get that.
Sunny.
The reporter, she was okay.
Yeah, they didn't really do enough with her. Like like when she was crawling up the shaft.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I don't care what happens to you
at
all. Like,
okay.
I don't.
Yeah, like, oh, is she gonna die here? Like right now? Like we're gonna get our first full death right here, right now? Okay.
Right.
And she doesn't.
I just didn't care. In fact, I think that this is my main complaint with this movie. These people were fodder. Like they could have been fodder. I mean, they really could have been. There should have been 3 more people, and that shit should have been dished out in way quicker succession. Like it took way too long. In fact, I paused the movie when it got to what Fitzy very, very insensitively calls Captain Egypt, the soldier.
Yeah.
When it gets to his death, that's when I'm like, oh, hell yeah, we're in now. It had been going on for an hour at that point.
We had been there for so long. I thought the exact same thing, dude.
So long,
I was like, when? Because I've seen this movie before. I was like, fucking man, where is this soldier? I know he comes up and he has a sick death scene coming up.
Yeah.
Like, where is? I was just like, just could not wait to get to it.
Yeah.
It took so long. The movie's only like an hour and 25 minutes, hour 30 minutes. Like, and it's just like, god damn, like, so here we go, I guess. Like,
yeah.
I will say about Fitzy, real quick, he is the best actor in the entire thing. And there's
for sure.
one moment only, and like this is like legit. This isn't a joke because he was the funny guy, and he was throwing fucking zingers left and right.
He was crushing it.
They all hit. Every single one of them hit. Loved his character. He didn't deserve any of it. Like he was just doing his job, being a photog. Like it is what it is. But when Sunny like she falls into the pit because of him, which was brutal. Wild. And then the little cat monsters come out and are like eating at her and stuff. But so they which was wild. But they get down there and they're like, oh, we gotta lift her up and like stuff, and they try to, and then that causes her to like seize out or whatever, and then she goes to shock and she dies, and then they're like, oh shit, fuck. But then Fitzy is like in a state of shock and like weeping, being like, I'll get her leg. Like, if we just like start with, like, she's already dead, and he's just like, I'll get her leg. Like, we can just do it like by her leg. Like, and like we can't like that moment where he's like in the processing her death and is in shock and is like, we can't leave her here and stuff. Like, I was like, this is the best acting moment in the entire thing.
Yeah.
Like, you can feel that shit coming from him, which is part of the reason. But again, it's like he nailed it in like a really good moment. So it's like. But then you get the death scene of the dad where they're like, he's like, well, I guess we got to figure out the room. And then Anubis comes and just punches his heart out of his fucking chest like that. And it's super campy, right? I'm like, but 15 minutes ago, I was seeing some real dramatic, good, like intentional shit. And now we're back to this. Like, what happened? Like, that's why I was like, pick a lane. It was like, Fitzy, tone it down, whatever your name is, actor, like whatever. Have you ever seen the In-Betweeners, that British high school show?
I've seen a couple episodes. I've never watched.
He's one of the main dudes. Yeah, he's one of the main. He's not main dude with the glasses, but he's like, he has like the Bieber hair in it and stuff. But he's like one of the main dudes that like out of the 4 guys and stuff. Which I remember when it the first time I saw it, I was like, oh fuck yeah, dude, this guy's gonna definitely be the funny guy, and he was, and he kills it.
Yeah.
But
He was
yeah,
great.
so that moment was genuinely amazing, and I really loved it. But I did not. But it loses me again. It's like serious, it's not. It's serious, it's
Mhm.
not. It's serious, it's not.
Oh yeah, and like with
Is what it felt like.
the sand trap scene was awful. Just it's so bad because like it keeps cutting to the dad. Sorry, I don't
Professor
know why I didn't say
Daddy.
it. Professor Daddy, yes.
Yes.
Keeps cutting to Professor Daddy and the daughter, like reaching for each other in this
Mhm.
moment that's supposed to build tension and make me feel like they have some wonderful connection, and it just doesn't, and it keeps cutting. It's weird. It's like they only took like one or maybe two shots that they cut to 6 different times, and it's supposed to make me think
I have a lot
it's
to
6 different
say.
shots,
I have a
but
lot
it's
to
very
say
obviously
about.
not.
I have a lot to say about that in a little bit once we get to the technical aspects.
It's a really bad scene, and that I forgot how dramatic that was supposed to be and how it missed
sand
the
trap.
missed the
The sand trap is pretty cool. Like the
yeah
concept is pretty sweet.
yeah
There's 2 things wrong with it. One, the entire thing of it is, didn't we just get through a tunnel scene like 5 minutes ago? Like, didn't we just have a
you're right
close call because like the cat monsters were chasing after them, and then Anubis
right
behind them before
right
before Captain Egypt shows up? Like,
right
we just did this.
yeah
Like, do I really think they're gonna immediately all die now? Like, no.
right
So that kind of takes
right
something away from it. But then also,
mm,
yes, that
mhm.
moment when it's back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and then like the music swells up, and then it's like, and then like and then her arm comes out, and it's like it's just like, yeah, like yeah, can we just get through this and then go back to Sunny, who's on the spikes and getting eaten by cat monsters? Like, I want to watch more of that, because that's much
Right.
more compelling than this father-daughter thing. I know you guys have been like disagreeing about the philosophy of how to do your archaeology, and then like she's banging the robot guy and he doesn't like that and stuff. So like they've been,
Right.
it's like, and this is that moment of redemption and stuff before they both eventually end up dying. Like, great.
Right.
I don't need a
Yeah.
full minute of it. I
No,
got it.
don't. Yeah,
I'm
it's
aware of what's
well,
going
and just I did find it like honestly really funny though how I think the movie and the filmmakers hate the dad. I
on.
think they hate
Absolutely
Professor
did,
Daddy
dude.
because
Oh yeah.
in every scene he's kind of insufferable. Like he kind of sucks the entire
Yeah, he fucking
movie.
blows, dude. Like he is
Because
the
he's like,
worst.
don't touch anything. Nobody touch anything. We need to do that. And then he touches something that just like haphazardly falls over and almost gets them all killed.
Well, dude, that's the thing. But then Fitzy says, like, what about not
Yeah.
touching anything, bro? Like, just calls him out immediately, which is great.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Fitzy
but
calls
again,
him out, which is nice.
but like, that's one of those things. Like, did the actor just like hit him with that? Like was that an improv or
Right.
was that in the script? Either way, they kept it in, so they obviously hate him and his character, and we're happy to see him die. Like,
I think they absolutely.
I was
hate
happy
him,
to
and
see him die. Like,
oh, for sure, dude. He was insufferable.
again, in a
He
different
was
context,
insufferable.
if they had chosen, if in my opinion they had just chosen the lane of campy, his death scene would have been rad as fuck. You know, like
Yeah.
obviously.
No. Oh, it's
Like,
so
that's
good, dude.
That is great,
It's
regardless.
fantastic.
No matter what I feel about the rest of it, that shit slaps.
That was really good.
Yeah, they definitely hated him. How did you feel about sexy robot guy?
I'm very frustrated that his death was off screen. I'm very frustrated that he. I was expecting them to find him at some
Mhm.
point. I thought it was cool that they just like found his leg or whatever. I mean, that was a pretty cool scene, but like, and just the way that like you're telling me that they didn't see, like, it's not like the ceiling was that far above them. Like they've only fell like 10 feet. You're telling me that they didn't see this giant ass stone like tipping over the edge to fall on it. It kind of came out of nowhere, but like not in a good way.
Yeah.
So short answer, I actually liked his character. Like I thought he was fun. Just the kind of like he is kind of the hot guy, but he's also like, kind of nerdy and relatable. And I wish he would have stuck around a little bit longer. Yeah, I don't think they did enough with his character.
Exactly my point. I really liked his character. I thought his character was cool, and they didn't even do him the proper justice of killing him in a cool way on screen.
Yeah, off-screen deaths are only cool when the implication is scarier than what you can actually show us, which
exactly.
I don't think that the implication of him being dragged away with his leg being stuck being that much scarier than anything else they could have shown. Or if it sets up something, which his death kind of did, because you're like, okay, wait a minute, we've seen these little cat things, we've seen these dog things, but there's no way that something that small could, rip him away from this giant stone. So it does kind of set something up, but it left too few characters to get on screen killed by the monster after the reveal.
You're 100% correct, and like you nailed exactly what I was going to say there. It is to set up that, we're dealing with something much more fucked up than just whatever these like dogs. They still think they're the dogs at this point. And they're like, there's just like no way. I mean, like the fucking Professor Daddy's excuse is, he chipped away at the boulder and rolled it onto himself. So like that's fucked up. And Fitzy's like, the fuck he did.
Yeah.
He's the voice. Funny. He is the voice. It's literally the Cabin in the Woods. The stoner guy is the one that really knows what's going on in the Cabin in the Woods, right? Like he's the funny guy and he knows what's going on because he's the stoner, and like the weed blocks like all the chemicals they're pumping into the cabin to like make them scared and stuff. Like Fitzy is that guy just without the weed. Like he's like, no, that does not make any sense. And he's like, why do you get to touch stuff? Like, and I can't. What's happening? Like he's the man, dude. He's the best character. R.I.P. Fitzy. Pour one out.
And he also gets killed off screen.
Yeah, we go up. Well, he gets killed off screen. He's definitely dead. But then when she wakes up and she's attached and she's tied up and she's looking down at him like, oh no, Fitzy. And then Anubis just fucking stomps on his head.
You're right.
And his head
I forgot about that.
He's definitely already dead because he's already weighed his heart and everything.
I completely forgot about that, dude. That was incredible.
That was
amazing.
It was amazing if one of the last scenes we got from Fitzy wasn't him like trying to open the door and then being like, you know what, I'm going back, because the whole time he's scared shitless, right? And like that was his come to Jesus moment where he's like, I'm gonna take my camera and I'm gonna go back there and like see if I can find a way out, and like if it kills me, whatever, like they'll have my footage. And like the daughter is like you only care about getting your shot, and he's more or less like, no, I care about like finally like standing up for myself and like making something out of myself. We get that, and then 5 minutes later his head gets squashed like a fucking gusher, and it's like, I was having another moment, and now it's just squashed like his fucking head, and I'm like, oh right, we're doing a campy thing, which is like I can't decide. It's a roller coaster in a way that I did not sign up for. I wanted to either take itself too seriously and be bad, like As Above, So Below, or dive into it and just go for it and be an amazing movie that'll make everybody watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I really think I think they should have gone campier. There should have been more carnage, if you will. And I really think it would have been a lot better than it was. Trying to think. So at this point, I'm not really defending it, am I? I'm kind of just agreeing with everything.
I mean, I shit on As Above, So Below pretty hard too. It's okay. Once we get to the technical side, that could be the key to this whole thing.
That could be so I will bring up a couple of well, first of all, Sadid, the soldier, his death is incredible, phenomenal.
Definitely the best death in the entire thing. Like,
Oh, 100%.
it's so fucking rad, dude. He just gets
100%.
fucking folded like a table, dude. It's
I
awesome.
loved it, dude. So good. I think the scene where Fitzy figures out what's going on
Mhm.
and Anubis eats Professor Daddy's heart, and then his face just immediately starts to like turn into. It looks like it's like de-aging to me.
Yeah, it's like
or
it's
like
he's
sorry,
like,
aging. Like
yeah, it's like
his
he's like
soul's
he like
leaving his
ages
body.
and then starts to like decompose, like
Yes.
all in like 10 seconds. Yeah.
I thought that was great. I thought that the way that Anubis was stomping through and like almost catches Fitzy, really good. But then it's uncertain. Is Anubis blind? Like,
I don't
or is
think
he just
he's-
an idiot?
I
Because
don't
he
think
misses.
Mind. I mean, well, it's one of those things. So in Egyptian mythology, I don't know. I don't know enough about it off the top of my head about each one. Like Osiris being Anubis's daddy. Like yeah, like that I like that tracks. Like I'm pretty sure like that tracks from what I remember. But I don't think there's anything specific about him being blind. I think what it more so is, what you could argue is, so he's been in there for this 3-sided pyramid, which, just quick aside, 3-sided pyramid, fuck off. Like that really bothered me. It's like, oh my god, it's a 3-sided pyramid. That's why this one's crazy, bro. And it's like, they found a pyramid that's older than any other pyramid. That's all you need. Like, don't add an extra element to make it.
Enough, yeah.
So I was like, that's fucking stupid. Like, just make it a normal pyramid, but be like, it's in a different place and it's weird and it's older. We already can tell. Like, I'm already sold. I love ancient Egypt. Love that shit. But point being, I think the point of it is like Anubis is like, it's like, yeah, that was their god, but he was an actual entity. Like, he was an actual being of some sort, right?
Right.
So he been in there for like thousands and thousands of years. His eyesight probably just don't work no more. You know what I mean? Like, he probably just can't see anymore. His eyes have just become useless after millennia of being, because it appears to be, the point is that, you know, because at the end she almost gets out, she can see the sun, the kid comes in, and then Anubis is right there. Like, I don't think he ever came out, and like the part of it is like, oh, he's out now. Like, the god of death is like free now as part of what they're getting at, you know, like part of their quote unquote like deeper main point of horror. And but I think he just cannot see, because it's just been, because he's an actual, he's not a supernatural thing, he's an actual creature. So I think he just can't see. Like,
that's fair.
Because you're right. It's definitely like, how the fuck did he miss that?
Right. Well, but I don't. It always frustrates me when you can't reveal the creature and then have that creature be incompetent when it's been expertly hunting the group for the whole first hour of the movie. Like, it can't, when the reveal happens and you no longer have that imagination playing anymore, it just has to be scary. Like, it has to be, and that's why I think there should have been more people in the group. There could have been some more crazy, like, heart pulling out of chest and table fold deaths.
Yeah.
And I think this movie could have been truly like another 2 or 3 points better for me. I mean, I think it could have been.
And start those deaths even earlier. Because again, the first like good actual death doesn't happen until, because I mean, even the guy, when they open it and the fungus comes out and like and stuff, like there's a quick, they like cut to the next thing and they're like, yeah, he's stable, he'll be fine. Like, that guy doesn't even die. Like, that random guy who like first broke into the thing, like, he doesn't even die. Like, so we don't get our actual first death. Well, I mean, unless Shorty though. Shorty does die pretty early in R.I.P.
Shorty gets taken out pretty quick. Yeah.
Shouts out to my boy Shorty. Pour one out for Shorty. He was my guy. He was my second favorite character in the entire thing.
Yeah, for sure.
He was a real life Wally. He was literally a real life.
It was Wally. Yeah.
Wally, and like, but it was like an Indiana Jones Wally. He wasn't like trying to save the planet like environmentalist. Like he was fucking Indiana Jones. He was fucking raiding tombs and shit. Like sick as fuck. My man Shorty, R.I.P. I'll never forget you, Shorty. But anyway, he dies early. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, more of them needed to happen. They needed to start sooner, because I completely agree. Once you show me, I guess the best way to say is once the unknown becomes known, you can't keep toying with that, and like you just have to give it to us at that point.
Right.
Like part of the. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I mean, there's no, like, when there's no more mystery, it needs to be a true force of nature at that point.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Once you can't be like, this is exactly what's happening. 100%. The unknown is now known. And like Anubis looks okay. CGI is kind of whatever, but like the design of it, like the design is cool. The implementation of it, like the way they actually go for it, does not really work. If that was like an actual practical like suit costume with that design, that'd be pretty sick. Cool. But the CGI is a little rough, obviously.
Do you want to know what it reminds me of? That ruined.
God. Wait, no, I don't even say it.
You know what I'm gonna say.
Say it. Please be the same.
The fucking monsters from the live action Scooby-Doo.
Yes, dude, that's exactly.
Island.
God damn it, dude. Maybe that's why I fucking like it, because it reminds me of that. And I love the live action Scooby-Doos because I'm Scooby-Doo all day. But like, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The design's shit.
They ripped it off from a 2004 children's movie is what they did, which actually, I'll take that back. Live action Scooby-Doo is not a children's movie. It is.
It's fucking directed by James Gunn. He wanted to make it R-rated. It's why he casted the people he casted, because he wanted to make it R-rated, but they wouldn't let him. So he said, I'm going to shoehorn in as many over children's head jokes as I can, which makes it amazing to this day. The first one and the second one. Like, what's the scene? I think in the second one, Monsters Unleashed, when they go to the museum, like the unveiling of their museum thing. They roll up in the van and they open the doors and a bunch of smoke comes out, and they're Shaggy and Scooby are grilling in there.
Yes, that's in the first one, I think.
Oh, is it in the first one? Well, whichever one's in. When they roll up and they're grilling in there and then opens up, it was supposed to be them smoking. That was the original, like, in the script of that James Gunn like was working on, like, with them and stuff. They were like, yeah, they're gonna be smoking weed. We're just gonna do it. We're gonna go for it. Because we all know that's what was actually happening, like, from
that would have been
day one.
So cool, man. I really
so much, but those movies are still great. But anyway, yes, it looks fucking exactly like that.
It's bad. It's like, bad. It was good. It was good from behind. Like when you couldn't really see its face, but then the scene where she is on the scale and it's like in her face, I'm just
once you get the full look, like you finally get the full in your face look, it's pretty rough. All of the like quick glances and from behind and stuff, like again, part of it is, I mean, that's the trouble with horror, especially visual horror, right? Like your brain nothing can scare you more than your own brain. So if you leave stuff up to the imagination, like my brain is going to fill in what I think is going to be the scariest thing. That's not going to always translate. Once you show it and like it's like, okay, we're here and we see it, you gotta nail it. Like it's gotta be something fucking crazy and it's gotta look good as fuck. Like The Thing, like John Carpenter's The Thing. Like,
oh, amazing.
I would not have thought that little dog thing when it first really starts popping off. Never in a million years would I have thought that. Yes, please show me that. Put that in my brain. You know.
No,
they missed the mark. On that
it can be done so much better than they did, which sucks. I think my final qualms and defenses. I hate the ending. Hate it.
Yeah.
It's the creature grabbing the protagonist in the last moment is. It's happened too many times. It has to be done.
Well, no. What happens is he She gets all the way up. He grabs her, pulls her down.
Mhm.
Then he does the scale thing, but she gets out, and then the cats come and they attack him. So she goes all the way back up. Again, another supersonic speed thing where it's like now she's just flying up that ladder.
Mhm.
This time she gets up, and then she sees the exit, and then she faints, and then she wakes up, and there's the kid, and he has the camera, and he turns it around, and then Anubis comes and attacks them both and stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought the same thing. I forgot. I was like, oh, the movie's over. He grabbed her, and that's it. And then it had that whole extra like 10 minutes, and I was like, oh. So it faked out a little bit. It was like, we're going to do it, but we're not. It still didn't work, you know.
I just, the jump scare for I mean, it's Jason Voorhees coming out of Crystal Lake to grab her at the end of the movie. Like, you can only do that so many times. I think it's a little overdone. Something I will say that I like about it in my closing thought is I actually really like the setting. I like ancient Egypt. I think the pyramid looks really good. Like the inside of it, I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
It feels like, I mean, this movie just felt a little more lighthearted to me. Now that you've brought up the points about the inconsistencies in the tone, I do see that now. It isn't straight camp, but when it is campy, I think it does it pretty well. Like it feels like a weird Scooby-Doo adventure.
I would agree with that.
And I like those aspects, but it is way too fucking long for its own good. Takes too long to get to the point, and it needs a few more good scary sequences.
Yeah, and a few more people to kill.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure.
And they need to start earlier.
There should have been so many more.
2/3 of the way through the movie. Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm there for. Like that's what I felt like I was there for.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
part of my thing is I think the acting misses in this one because they couldn't pick a lane compared to the drama kids and As Above, So Below. They were all being drama kids, and I thought it all worked. They were literally doing poetry, you know, and I'm like, okay, it kind of works, like in that regard.
Yeah.
In a way. But I just like, I think the characters, even though like we only get 3 characters in As Above, So Below that are like truly fleshed out, Scarlet, George, and Papillon. Like they're the only ones that we get any kind of backstory on.
Yeah.
That's 3 more than the pyramid. There's like no backstory with any of them.
Yeah.
Which is fine if we're going for a truly campy thing. Like I don't need to know. Like, give me a little dynamic as we go. Like the father and the daughter, Professor Daddy and the daughter, you know, arguing about like how to go about it. It's like, okay, there's a little bit of tension there. Like, oh, she's seeing a dude that's on the site. Like, okay, yeah, like whatever. That's all I need. And they do that, but then they can try to get really serious. And she, like, speaking of going back to sexy robot guy, like when she leaves him with the light and says we're gonna come back, that was another like way too long. Like she is really overacting this. Like is this her breakout role? Is that what is she trying to win a fucking Oscar here? Like what is she doing? Like every scene she's in that's like supposed to be a dramatic scene, she really goes for it, which would be great if, again, tone. Like if that was the intention the entire time, maybe I just genuinely missed it, and I need to watch it again from a purely like this is only camp, and take the serious moments and be like, well, they kind of like, you know what I mean, like just ignore like those couple of moments I talked about, like and be like, no, this is just pure camp, let's go. Maybe those scenes will hit differently, but it was very confusing for me overall. I will say,
I hear that.
This is kind of getting it. We're going to go back to As Above, So Below and talk about the technical pros and cons of that one. But one of my favorite parts of the pyramid is some of the cinematography is absolutely outstanding. There are some shots that are really fucking awesome. They use like the darkness of the pyramid and the dead space very well in certain scenes. but I have a very big issue with part of that. But we will get to that here in a little bit because I don't want to bust my biggest like fuck this movie, this one's better just yet. So As Above, So Below. Because I have issues with the Pyramid. You had something about As Above, So Below with the technical aspect of it. What are you talking about? It was perfect.
I don't like found footage movies. Like
You don't like the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, I love Blair Witch Project.
So you don't like Cloverfield? You don't like Cloverfield?
Not really. I think so. I think that the Blair Witch Project is the only one that it truly works with, and that's because it feels real, and so the moments of amateur filmmaking feels like, okay, this is amateur filmmaking. You know what I mean?
Well, it genuinely was. They literally said, hey, they like go interview these people about the Blair Witch, and they like fed lines to people, but the actors didn't know, and then they literally threw them in the woods and said, just go fuck around, and then went and fucked with them. You know what I mean? Like it was genuine found footage because they like put them in a fucked up situation like that. Yeah. And everything since has been.
But and that's like As Above, So Below. I know that it is a high budget film made to look like found footage. And in my opinion, there's nothing but pitfalls when you have that, because then it just looks like a shitty big budget movie, you know? And I just think that, like, I liked the creativity with the headlamp cameras as a concept, but the mental, not even mental gymnastics, the weird shit they have to do to make it logical for these people to still be filming, it takes me out of the movie. It just like, there's no fucking way. Like when she's running back to save George, she sees the camera and she picks it up and she takes it with her. There's no fucking way anybody would ever do that. Like, I can maybe believe that Benji, you know, until he dies, I can maybe believe that, all right, he's like, I still have to be filming. But I think the second they, you know, the tunnel collapses behind them, they're ditching the camera and saying, fuck this shit. Like, I don't know. There are a lot of pitfalls, and I think that it looks worse than the Pyramid because the Pyramid decides to get rid of logic and just says, all right, it's going to be a found footage movie, but then we're also going to have normal ass shots. And I thought that was so funny, and I actually liked it because it made the movie look better. I hate
you so much right now. You just blew up my whole fucking shit now.
Dude,
we will get to it. I will expound on it. I have a whole fucking thing.
I'm sorry.
I have a whole thing. So,
oh man.
First of all, I got two things about the your found footage. Everything you just said about found footage.
Yeah.
One. It's 2014 when this is made, and he's using pretty standard. I have a camcorder right here that shoots 1080p, and that 1080p looks better than what they were doing Blair Witch with, right? Like they were doing the first kind of camcorder thing.
Yeah.
It's part of the movie, but also it's like it is so easy to get a camera that looks good. He puts GoPros on them and stuff. It is so easy to get GoPros. I got a GoPro at work. It's working.
Yeah.
It's working for what I want it to work for. I'm literally going to buy the exact same one because there was two of them. I took one home to test it. I have the other one waiting. I'm like, I think I'm going to work. This is going to work for what I need it for. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the other one. Like, it's so easy to get them, to get like high quality footage doing anything. My phone shoots 4K. 2023, but 2014, your phone was shooting 1080p, like, easily. Like, so the cameras that like a filmmaker is gonna have and give to people are gonna look good. Like, the quality of them are just straight up gonna look good. I will agree with the lighting, and literally they're 1,000 feet deep, and they have headlamps and the light on the camera, like his actual like big camera, his like camcorder camera. That is completely unrealistic. I can't get shit to look right in this room that I'm sitting in right now with the window open and all the lights I have on, and it's still too low light for some of the shit that I'm trying to do. And they're using headlamps and one single on a camera like thing. I'll give you that. That's pretty fucked up. But like the quality of it, I can get behind because it's 2014, like when it's made, and like newer, like, so as we get deeper into found footage and stuff, like, he is a filmmaker setting out to make a film, right? Like, he is making a documentary. He's gonna have the best equipment he can afford. It's not that hard to get like halfway decent looking quality video cameras and like some GoPros, knowing you're gonna do some like tomb exploring with this Scarlet woman who's crazy and like gonna do all this Indiana Jones tomb.
Right.
That's easy to do. And depending on where he's coming from, he might have funding for it. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause he's a documentarian. Like, that's what he is there for.
Right.
They don't give my boy Benji enough time and respect, so we don't know if he's just doing this out of his own pocket because this is what he's gonna do to make it big, or if he's like an affiliate of something. You know what I mean? Like, we never really get that clarification that I can remember. So that's number one, is like, I think the camera thing, the quality thing makes more sense the further we get along. You can literally have a found footage 4K, like, easy. So that's fine. And then I don't know. I think that they would get, because you were like, why would she go grab the camera and like keep going? It's not like Benji getting the camera makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that was part of my defense, was like, I mean, like, I would get the camera. Like, it's one of those things that's like in a found footage movie. It's just like there's this trust that like.
Yeah, you kind of just gotta.
You just have to believe that. It's kind of like in the Pyramid when Fitzy's like, I'm gonna take my camera and go back down there, so like whatever happens, like they'll find this camera when they come looking for us, see what happened to us. Like, I think you just have to kind of like, that's like one of those unspoken things of why they always have it. It's annoying. It's good in the Pyramid that like he said it, so it makes sense that he still had his camera. So I think that works, but I mean, I genuinely think that that's the way to do it, though, is to what you're saying is like, they have, because I took notes on it, because I was like, okay, they're doing found footage, and I know the Pyramid fucks it up. Again, we'll talk about it. I have a whole fucking thing. Drove me insane. But they stick to the found footage thing the entire time. There is no magic camera, no magical extra person that's shooting like perfectly, like at any moment in this movie. So they get points for that, because they're set out to be a found footage movie, and they are from beginning to end. And like it's all logical. Benji is shooting everything because he's a documentarian. You shoot everything, you know, like no matter what's happening, and then you cut it all away. Like, that's how you do it. So that works. And then he straps everybody, like a couple people with GoPros. So it's like I was keeping track of the cameras, and it was like, okay, we have 4 cameras total now, 3 on people's heads, 1 in his hand. And then I was like, okay, now we only have 3 cameras because they left the camera. But then she went back and got it, and I was like, okay, so we still have all 4 cameras. So at no point do they not have all 4 cameras, if I remember correctly, or if my notes make sense. But like the way they introduce them, the way he's like, okay, before we get down there, like, let's strap everybody up, and they introduce, and they do a quick shot of like, this is Scarlett's POV, this is Papillon's POV, like, these are where these cameras are. so when we cut to them, it will make sense. You know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah.
feel like they do a really good job of like being like, this is found footage. We're gonna show you how it works. Obviously, in the Blair Witch, they don't have to worry about it because they have that one tiny little fucking shit camera. Like, and so you just like,
Right.
yeah,
right.
we know what we're seeing. It's just the one camera. But I like that they took the time to very casually be like, these are the cameras we have. These are the cameras we're gonna use. And like, but I agree. I think they should have lost one. That main one, it should have just been head cams.
Yeah.
Like the head cam GoPros the rest of the way. Like once he was gone, maybe have
Yeah.
it for a little bit longer so you could like have like the camera like, oh, like we're something fucked up's going on and like the camera's over here and it's kind of like off focus and stuff. So it kind of like you kind of see it, you kind of can't. You know what? We should write a found footage movie since you hate them and I love them and I like know how you can make them
man.
sometimes. You know, we should write one and do
We
it.
should do it.
We should do it. We'll talk about that after. That's my two defenses on found footage is, like if you can make it work, like you can make it work. It's pretty easy to establish. Like these are the cameras we have, and like they're gonna keep them forever. Like it's just kind of a part of the genre, and like the quality, you know, it's 2014, bro, when this movie was made.
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah,
It's easy to
that's
have
a
a
good
good
point.
camera. And stuff. So is that your only issues with the technical part? Just that you don't like found footage in general and that they were weird about it, or is there anything else?
No, I think the rest of it's pretty well done. I do have a qualm about the final boss, if you will, but I don't know if now's the time or not.
Later.
Yeah, dude,
The final boss.
why did they make Voldemort the final boss? They didn't have to do that. They really didn't. He was wearing a like.
You mean the
I
guy
don't
in the
know.
chair?
Yeah,
That was
it sort of-
Lucifer, bro.
I know, but he. Okay, for instance, I still, and maybe this is a bad take. I think the red-faced demon
Mhm.
from Insidious is one of the scariest, like creature designs I've ever seen. That shot of him behind the lady blows my fucking mind every single time I see it. Like
No,
I'm
that
getting
shit's
chills
really
thinking of the
good.
picture.
That shit, I love Insidious 1, but I think Insidious 2 with the woman in black kind of an angle
Yeah,
is
yeah.
much more fucked up and scary. But I do love both
Mhm.
of those first movies. The next like 5 or however many there are
Yeah,
now.
they get
1 and 2
silly.
because 1 and 2 bounce off of each other like immediately in a really great way. So yeah, I love those movies. And that design when it first came out was super scary for sure. The more I've seen it, the less I'm scared of it. But the way they use the design
Yeah.
is really something wild. And then,
And
the woman in black thing is even scarier. So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
like, we're just getting started. Fuck. Like,
Well, I mean, like, and the old lady in Insidious is terrifying. Like, they could have made it so much scarier. Like, because in that first shot where you see Lucifer or whatever, like walking past the corridor, that's genuinely unnerving. Like, I mean, you're
It's
like,
fucked
what
up.
the fuck is that?
Mhm.
But then it reveals him to just be some sleepy old dude in the chair who's like got kind of like a weird white clay face. I don't know. I think that while it's not necessarily a technical aspect, I actually think that As Above, So Below does a really, really good job of setting. As I'm sure you know, they actually filmed in the catacombs,
yeah, which is awesome.
which is really cool. But like, really should have done better there. I think that's all I have as far as
Plus, I think
criticizing them goes.
I don't know. Maybe they spent their budget on location.
And
You know,
that's
like-
yeah, very possible. And I mean, there's some like really crazy effects that I'm sure took like
Well, the way they
some-
got
like
the burning car in the
burning car
catacombs
was cool. Yeah,
that looked great, and the guy's just sitting
Yeah.
there, just staring at Papillon.
burning car is cool.
that's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was definitely, again, like being a fan of Inferno and like being like, oh yeah, like we're definitely gonna have to see Lucifer at some point. It was very much like, okay, yeah, that's just Voldemort. So like that kind of but like, you know, it's for me, part of it too is like he's sitting in the chair and stuff, and like the way he's introduced once they finally get there and stuff, like is very like Dante and stuff. Like it kind of works, you know, even though the design is pretty mid at best, you know. So I mean, you're not wrong about it being mid, the design, but in a different sense, it does kind of work to an extent. So the pyramid already blew up my shit, which is fine. It's fine. I'm honestly shocked you didn't say anything about it earlier. So I didn't really have too much of a build up to this. I was just going to go for it. So this is also supposed to be a found footage movie, correct?
Right.
That's what it's advertised as. That's what you go into it. It's like, oh yeah, it's found footage. Hell yeah. You know, they do a little bit of establishment, being like some like kind of newsreely stuff. Like there's upheaval happening in Cairo. They're on the verge of civil war, and you get some text across. And then, but you know, it ends with the following details, the events that occurred. And it's like, now we're in found footage from this moment on. Like they even do that. They establish from this moment on, this should be found footage. So, not even 5 minutes later, we get a shot of a satellite in space.
Yeah.
As they are talking about, and then they cut to found footage. It's Fitzy's camera shooting them talking about how they use satellites to see what's under the sand, just like they use it on Mars to see if there's water underground, like how NASA does. Like they're using it on Earth for archaeology, and they use it for space stuff. But like we're doing the same thing. Why are we seeing a shot of a satellite in space in this found footage movie? And they've already told us the following details, the events that occurred. So that's just the beginning of it, right? Then, you know, we go about our business. You know, they daughter's fucking the robot dude. Dad's all annoyed. Like she's like, oh, we're using the future to understand the past, and he's like, that's not real archaeology, you know, whatever. Like they're just like whipping their archaeological dicks out at each other about how to go about it, whatever. Blah 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 blah. Let's see. It was about. Let me find my first note about it. I write it down somewhere around here. So the daughter puts on a head cam when they're about to go in. So they establish we have two cameras. So okay, I was like, okay, cool, they're doing it. I was like, they kind of fucked up already, but that's fine. Maybe it doesn't happen that much. Military dude gives them 2 hours, and then cut to they're going into the tomb. And it is, my first thought was, I was like, what an amazing shot. It's dark. You just see that one little rectangle of them walking in to like the pyramid.
Yeah.
Second thought was, who the fuck took that shot? So I started counting. All of the shots that aren't their cameras.
Oh no, dude.
Long story short.
Oh god.
There was, so I was at 6, and it was like this note says like, oh, 6-1, but there's a jump scare with it, so like, okay, whatever, like sure. Then number 7, great shot where like they just come back from finding sexy robot dude, and it's like the wide shot of them. You can see up the stairs and you can see the hallway, and Fitzy just got everybody to calm down after they were yelling at each other, right? See up in the hallway, and then like there's a beat, and you see something move past, very sudden, like you see something like start to move. Rather, it's like there's something there the entire time that's not moving, like way in the background, and then it moves, and then they all turn around and are like, what was that? Oh, it wasn't anything and stuff. Amazing shot, super good, like, oh shit, what was that in the background horror.
Hmm.
But again, who fucking shot that shot? Like, oh, it's like all the best cinematography doesn't make sense in the world of this found footage movie. This found footage. Then we get the tunnel crawl scene. And I was writing down every time I saw it, I just like added one, so I was at 7. My next note is 8 through 30. That tunnel scene goes from 8 to 30. We're seeing Fitz, who's in the front with his camera, so no one should be able to shoot him. And then from there, it just gets worse and worse. I started counting. I would like watch a scene and be like, you know what, fuck it, let's just add 15. There's probably about 15 in there, plus or minus.
Yeah.
I got to, I think my grand total that I said at the end of the movie, over 300.
Oh my god.
Over 300. Again, I didn't count exactly every single one. I did from 1 to 30. I counted every single one, but then they started happening so fast
Yeah.
that I was like, I can't do this. It'll take me 5 hours to watch this movie. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'll add 10 here. Like, I'll add 3. That was a pretty quick little session of them. I'm gonna add 30, like for the tunnel scene, the sand tunnel scene. 30. The fucking scene where they're fucking cutting back and forth at each other.
Mhm.
There's technically 3 shots in it. There's one shot where it's the daughter's head cam he's looking straight into her head cam, being like, you're gonna be all right. And then there's the side back and forth. They go something to the tune of like side shot, side shot, side shot, side shot, head cam, side, head cam, side, head cam, side, head cam, side.
Jeez, dude.
They have a camera. It could have just been him the entire time looking into the camera saying, would have been so much, and then the sand is filling it up, and it gets blacker and blacker and blacker. So much more in the world of what we're actually doing would have hit a lot harder because I haven't seen that shit before. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anyway, so over 300 fucking shots.
Yeah.
Over 300 fucking shots, plus or minus, like I'll say plus or minus 20, maybe 30. I'll get plus or minus 30. 300 shots that do not make any kind of sense in a found footage movie. And the worst part is those are the best shots for the most. The best use of the dead space, with it being like the only light they have is their light. They're in a tomb underground, like. And like the way they can play off of it and do like your typical horror shit, but like in a fun way. It's like that was part of the campiness that I did like. It's like there was a thing in the background and then it moved and they're all like, huh? What was that? Like it was like, oh, that shot was so good, but it should not have been here. Ooh, makes me so mad.
I think it actually would have worked better as a non-found footage movie. I really do.
Absolutely would. 100%.
And I mean, I think you can still have the scene, because the scene where Bitsy is filming Anubis eating Dr. Daddy's heart is a really good scene, like, because it's that night vision.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you still could have incorporated that. Like, you don't have to, like, calling it found footage, I agree, is a cop out. And that
they establish it as found footage from the beginning. They're like they start doing it and then they abandon it. I agree with you. You can incorporate it. You can like the shot of Shorty. Like we have some Shorty shots. Yeah, put those in there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those are
show
nice.
Show me Fitzy's camera. Show me the head cam and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like I need like at least 80% of it to be the magical camera, the magical third person camera, and then just like drop those in. I have no problem with that. But they like decided halfway through filming that, oh shit, this would be a better movie, but we can't go back and and change it now.
At that point,
like that's how it felt. And so that drove me crazy, and that was like one of my biggest things. We've already talked about like the deeper meaning, quote unquote. Right. I love Dante. I love ancient Egypt. So like both of them, like what they're going for, I'm like already bought and sold. Like I'm there. But like that's one of my biggest things about why As Above, So Below is better, because they establish the found footage and they stick to it the entire time, even if it's kind of ridiculous that they go back and get the camera in scenarios where it's like, dude, just don't like just leave, bro. Like it'll be fine. Fucking just be that crazy guy on the corner talking about how you went to hell when you were in Paris. Like it's fine. Like it's fine. But
damn, dude. I have to say, I agree. Overall, I do.
yeah, man.
I thought that the spirit of the argument would make me come up with some good points. But goddamn, dude, the pyramid is terrible.
It's so bad. Again, they're both bad overall. Like they're both bad.
Honestly, As Above, So Below isn't terrible though. Like I
think As Above, So Below, like you're completely right. They tried too hard to be like
they did.
Some like crazy, deep, wild and shit. When they could have loosened the grip a little bit on that and still told a more serious, not campy, not too campy kind of a thing. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's still not good. You know what I mean? Like, it's still not great. But like, I just think
even some of like the scary parts in As Above, So Below are very silly. Like I think the scene with the phone ringing is scary at first, but you spend too long with it because you're sitting with it and you're realizing like, wait a minute, this is fucking stupid.
Exactly. They do it too many times. They do it one too many times. Yeah. And I thought the exact same thing, dude.
The piano is cool.
Yeah.
But it's also like, wait a minute, this is fucking stupid. Like it draws you in because you want to believe, because the atmosphere is really, really good in that movie.
Okay, yeah. But the atmosphere is just a tiny bit better in this one than the pyramid. Because again, catacombs are going to hell, and then like fucking ancient fucking pyramid in Egypt. Like both settings are so fucking rad. So they automatically get cool atmosphere points. But I think As Above, So Below just does it just a tiny bit better. Just barely though. Just barely. Like I don't give a fuck about Paris. Like I'm like ancient Egypt than I give any shit to Paris. But like they're in the catacombs, so you know, like they're in caves and like there's bones and shit, so it's metal as fuck. But I don't know, I just like, you're so right about the phone and the piano. It's just like
it's really cool until you realize it isn't at all.
My only defense for it is like the phone is like, she didn't answer when her dad was about to kill himself. Maybe she could have stopped it. And then the piano is like, oh, me and my brother would play like this, and like, but like we could never finish the little cute song we'd play as kids because like this key and it's the same key. Like it's one of those like
that is cool.
The key thing that I actually got kind of chills about that. That one really fucked. The phone is kind of gimmicky. Like it ends up being a part of like her narrative, like sure, but that's kind of a gimmick, like a phone ringing.
Yeah.
Like, but the piano one, that one kind of hits like a little, like a little bit.
That one got me.
That one kind of hits,
when he hits the key, and especially because right after it, he just looks back at Scarlett and goes, "What the fuck is going on here?" Like they all realize that it's.
That's the best part of that moment. That he's just like, the fuck.
Well, and that can help suspend disbelief when you realize that the characters also realize that what is happening doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
But only to a point. At some point, you're just like, okay. Do you feel like As Above, So Below is too National Treasury? Like, I just found myself being like, and this is something that I didn't feel in the pyramid, because in the pyramid I knew what was happening. Like I knew that they were just being chased by a creature and that was it. But in this movie, it was just this constant like, oh, here's this symbol. I know what it means. We have to do this. And just like,
So
I don't know.
I will. Yes, I completely understand what you're saying, because one of the first notes I took for As Above, So Below was that Benji's doing his first interview with Scarlett, and he's like, "Who are you?" Like, blah 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 blah, and she's like talking about herself, and like she's like, "I have like 15,000 different degrees, and I've done this and that, and I'm a black belt in Krav Maga and stuff." And so I literally wrote down, she's super smart and tough, all the degrees, and a black belt in Krav Maga. What a bad bitch.
Way,
like,
I felt the same way.
They are definitely way too smart. She's definitely Mary Sue, like a Mary Sue. Like she has the answer to everything. Yes, George helps, which is why she needs him, and they love each other. And they love their time in Turkey, even if it didn't go the way they planned. That's why it's important to the story. I hate it too. It's like mention it once at the beginning. Oh, they have a past. Anyway, doesn't matter. Like, we're in hell. We're in hell. Stop talking about it. Like, so you're right about that. But they're both just way too smart. And I think the point is the way they try to get around it, again, just arguing for arguing's sake. I feel like the way they try to get around it is, Papillon, he's only there because like he knows the catacombs. He has no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Benji kind of knows, he's been with them and stuff. Like, they have those characters to be like, the fuck are you guys talking about? So then they can explain it to us what they're doing. Like when they're trying to find like which stone to take off, and they're like, well, no, because like the guy who wrote this, like at the time the Earth was the center, so like the sun was like so not that one, it'd actually be this one, like, and they're like explaining it as they're figuring it out to explain it to us, because he's making a documentary film, and that's kind of how it works. Like, yes, but also I did not. If I wanted to watch Indiana Jones, I'd just watch that. Yeah, there's definitely too much of it.
Yeah, it was. I think they could have been simpler things, which is why I think I know how you feel about this movie, but I think that movie like The Descent is a little more effective because it's really just physical obstacles that they're having to, like, it's just small crevices and things like that they're having to get through. It's not it's not a puzzle. Not everything has to be a puzzle, and I just don't know. It really, though, it's still enjoyable. It's still enjoyable. The more I think about those things, the more I'm like, it was kind of fun when they did that. I don't know.
Both of these movies are watch it once with a group of people. You probably don't ever need to watch it again.
Yeah. I will say I do kind of think, which I need to delve more into some of these found footage, like recording, REC.
Oh yeah, Rec.
I know that is like really acclaimed, and that's like a really good one. And
yeah, I think
VHS is okay.
VHS is okay. Yeah, that's like an anthology kind of a thing too. So like there's certain segments in VHS that they're all found footagey, but like VHS there's certain segments that are like really good. Some are kind of fine, like in like good or bad. It's been a long time, but I remember there's definitely some of those that are like really fucked up in like what you want kind of a way. Yeah. There's tons of good found footage out there. So much more better than this. I genuinely think Cloverfield is an amazing found footage movie. It's just like it's a big monster sci-fi more than it is horror, but like they stick to the found footage and it works, It's like there's this big this huge event going on, and this guy just happened to bring a camcorder to his buddy's going away party. and like
Right.
he's just and like that's all that's the only thing, and like he's keeping it like because it's like there's like it's one of those things like I gotta like again it's one of those things like a found footage like I gotta record this, like I gotta keep up with my camera, like if I don't make it, like somebody will know our story, like you
Yeah.
know what I mean. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That one's good. Yeah, there's lots of good found footage.
I need to delve more into it before I recommend this movie, but I actually do. I think there's salvageable stuff in As Above, So Below. I can't say that I think I would ever recommend The Pyramid to anyone ever, personally.
I think everybody should watch it. Me and Ashley watched it. I think it was me, Ashley, maybe Nick was there. Like we were at a Ashley and whoever her roommates were at the time. We decided to throw it on and watch it. And God, was it a trip. We had a great time watching it. You know, that's one of the things. Like these two movies, the first time I watched them with like a few other people, and I had such a good experience watching them that I was like, yeah, like I know these movies. I always think about these movies this time of the year because there's a memory attached to it. And like, so that's like the most important thing. These movies suck, but they're really fun to watch, like with people. So don't watch it by yourself. I had a horrible time last night watching The Pyramid by myself. It was awful, dude. I could not stay focused. I was like, God, I'm so over this. I gotta take my notes.
It was hard. It was hard to get through a little bit, but
yeah, I know. I don't know if Nick has watched As Above, So Below since that first time we did, because in that last episode I did with him where we were talking about horror in general, we talked about it and he was like, that's a good movie. Like Nick was like, that movie's scary, dude. Like, and it definitely was the first time we watched it, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think
it is
I could see having like a scary experience with it for sure.
Yeah. So As Above, So Below, huh, is the better shitty movie, you think?
Yeah, I absolutely admit defeat. I don't know why I thought I could defend The Pyramid over.
I know you came
As
to
Above,
me
So Below.
and said like you do As Above, So Below, like I'll do The Pyramid. Like you kind of threw that out. And I was like, okay, shit, all right, bet.
That was a mistake.
All the good things you said about The Pyramid, besides the campy thing, because like I genuinely do feel like they should have picked a lane. Everything else you said about it, though, yeah, like that was gonna be my points about like why it was good. So,
it's got some cool
what were you gonna say about As Above, So Below? Like, if you had to defend that one, what would you say? Just curious.
I mean,
just curious.
I think that I think that any. I think that there are some actually really good scenes. I think that the scene with Benji getting stuck.
That's the best.
I think it's great. I think that Benji's death is really good. I think the atmosphere is leagues ahead of leagues ahead of The Pyramid. Even though it didn't make any sense, the chanting people it added atmosphere.
Oh,
it was very silly, but
that does remind me. That was another thing I hated about the quote unquote found footage of The Pyramid.
The music.
The completely out of place music. There's no out of place music in As Above, So Below. It all works, and it's all like real time. Like they're hearing it. It makes sense, and like. And the fucking scene where they're back and forth about like, oh, don't die in the sand, like, oh, Dad, help me get out of the sand and stuff. Like, there's this music swells up and it's
terrible.
Like, what is this? Like, you know, again.
Oh, it's so bad, dude.
Campy, like that's the worst of it. They're campy with the music, but then they're trying to be super serious.
Yeah.
Anyway, I apologize. Okay, I said
no.
Oh yeah, the music.
Yeah, It was really bad. But I think those are my biggest things. I do like a good conceptual, piece of art, whether it be an album or, a movie. I like Easter eggs. I like being able to watch something and, really dive into like a deeper meaning of it. which brings it up, but I still do have those qualms with the effectiveness of it in As Above, So Below. But I think that, like, okay, what would you give As Above, So Below out of 10?
Out of 10?
And then the pyramid, and the pyramid, yeah.
Is this like now or when I first saw it?
Let's say now.
Now I would give it a 5.
Yeah,
As Above, So Below, a 5. Just like, and 2 of those, 3 of those, half of it, 2.5 of it, is purely because if you watch it with a group of friends and like you're like, but everybody's like invested because like you get hooked by the beginning.
Yeah.
It does a good job hooking you at the beginning to be like, oh
Yes.
shit, like, and like everybody's kind of like making little quibs about it and being like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like that was kind of fucking scary, right? Like that fucking piano key, right? Like that was wild, right? Like that is very fun, but then like the atmosphere and everything like adds to it. You can say the same thing about the pyramid. So I'm gonna give it a 2.5, like that same 2.5. It's very fun to watch with your friends for the first time, like make jokes about, and like vibe to. But then I'm only gonna bring it up to a 3.5 total in terms of the technicality and like everything like that, because like again, the way that they start the found footage and then completely abandon it, and it just drives me crazy. Like, and I just don't even know. And then like the lane switching, you know, all that stuff. So only brings it up to a 1. Atmosphere's pretty dope though, you know. I'll give it that. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm like 5.5 for me for As Above, So Below, and probably like a 3 or 3.5 for the pyramid. There's something about. I remember being like really excited to watch As Above, So Below.
Yeah, there's an energy to it.
There really is, and that's I just like, I guess that's why I'm like trying to convince myself that it's not worth writing off, but maybe it is. I don't really know. But
Again,
there is something about it that
the
is.
next time I watch it, like if I watch it again, because like again, Nick and I just talked about it like in the episode where we were talking about horror in general and stuff, and like we were like, because I knew we were doing our episode, like that we were gonna do this one where we talk like about how they're both bad, but which one is better, like this or the pyramid. And like, but when Nick and I were talking about As Above, So Below, and that one, I was like, man, like yeah, I love that movie. But then I watched it and I was like, God, why would I say I love this movie? You know, like there's something about it. Like in a group, I love it. Personally, by myself, nah, it's just suck. I don't know. It's something.
Yeah.
Something.
It's tough, but
best ingested with a group.
Absolutely, and I mean, like, I think there are good moments in it, but yeah, I agree, and I think it is. I admit defeat. It is.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely a lot better than Pyramid.
Both are worth watching.
Yeah, I think so.
Still feeling this episode's gonna come out on Halloween, so you're still feeling like you need some spooky and you haven't seen it, get a group of friends together and fucking sit down and watch it. Even if you've seen it, like if you make somebody watch one of these that hasn't seen it,
that's always fun.
Fucking love it. You're gonna have a great time.
In fact, it may even be more fun.
Honestly, it might be more fun because you can like watch them and be like, wait for this. Look how ridiculous this is. It's great. So yeah, watch that. Tyler, as always, 'tis a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of course. It's again, anytime something new comes across the board, it's like, well, gotta get Tyler on.
Hell yeah, man.
Well, I just know you're gonna take the time to watch them and like really do them. Not to say that my other guests don't do their due diligence, but Tyler comes and hits me with the like. So how did this movie like make you think? Like so you know how this movie is like kind of low key about like the Bolshevik revolution in the early 1900s in Russia, and it's like no, why would I think that? Like, you come out of here with some wild and shit sometimes, and I'm like, I didn't think about it, but you're right. Like, tell me more. Like, this is why I love having you on. So Tyler will of course be on again. Tyler, I know you're not like a public persona, but is there anything you want to plug? Like,
You know, flu season's coming up. Wash your hands. Get the flu vaccine. um, that's about
all
all
right,
I
you
got right
liberal
now,
piece of
man.
shit. No, everybody do
Oh,
that and
shut
be
up.
safe. How about this? What's your favorite album right now? You know music just as much
Ooh,
as, if not more than you know movies, honestly. What's your
ooh,
favorite album right now?
dude.
Everybody needs to listen to coming up into this holiday season.
All right. The band called Home Is Where. They've got an album out called The Wailer. It's very, very good. It's some like some like emo indie music. It's very, very good. Yeah,
Oh,
you definitely give that thing a listen. It's fantastic.
perfect. Listen to that. Good plug. Great
Hell
plug.
yeah, dude.
Um, all right, well, I guess that's it. Buy Liquid IV. Speaking of plugs, shit is good, and I get money, so that's great.
Yeah, it is good. It is
Great.
good.
So,
Yeah, brother.
yeah, Instagram, all that. Yeah, bad mood, whatever. They'll figure it out. All right. Well, thank you, Tyler. Bye.
See you, man.